Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk all about mouth-to-lung vaping and in particular, pod systems. I'm Sherlock Holmes, and on this channel I do reviews like this, build tutorials, live streams, vlogs, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. I'm going to first talk about the different kinds of pod systems available on the market. There are rebuildable mouth-to-lung tanks, but I'm not going to cover those in this video. That is actually going to be a separate video. For this one, it's going to be pod systems and similar devices like pod systems. Some of them are going to be cartridges with interchangeable coils, but I'm going to get into all of that. There are a shitload of different kinds of pod systems. They come in different shapes, sizes, capacity for juice, and different capacities for the battery life. There's just all kinds of different types. Some of them come with pre-filled disposable pods that cannot be refilled, so you use them. When they're gone, you throw them away. Others come with empty disposable pods, and they're intended to be filled once and then thrown away, but some of them can actually be popped open with a little force and refilled multiple times. Some come with pods or cartridges that are intended to be refilled multiple times. There are systems that come with cartridges or pods that have interchangeable coils, and there are some that have internal tanks or an atomizer which take replacement coils, like actual coils, but the resistance in those are going to be a lot higher than a sub-ohm tank. All pod and mouth-to-lung systems have one thing in common, well, multiple things. They use a specific kind of juice, and they use a very, very high resistance. Pod systems in general are going to give you way less vapor, and they are a mouth-to-lung hit. So as opposed to a direct lung, where you hit the mod and directly suck it into your lungs, giving you a really big hit, with mouth-to-lung, you pull it into your mouth and then into your lungs. So you're going to get less vapor with mouth-to-lung specific juice. So pod system juices like Mr. Salty, Hometown Hero Salted, Naked Salted, there's a bunch on the market. Generally, you will find they have very high nicotine levels, and I've seen them anywhere from 18 up to 50. You've got 18, 20, 25. I've seen 35, 40, 48, 50, so there are definitely varying nicotine levels. Which nicotine level you choose is more of a preference thing than anything else. Obviously, higher nicotine levels are going to give you higher nicotine as you hit them. The reason they are so high is because of the fact that you get much less vapor in a mouth-to-lung hit, so it's not going to be as overwhelming. If you tried to vape a 50 milligram sub-ohm, if you tried to do it like with a sub-ohm device, I think that'd be absolutely terrible. You'd have way, way, way too much nicotine. It would make me sick for sure. And the throat hit that you would get from a normal nicotine would tear your throat apart. With pod system juice, most of them use, actually pretty much all of them, I don't think I've seen a mouth-to-lung, a pod system juice that has regular nicotine, tobacco-derived nicotine. They will all have salt-derived nicotine salts. This does not add a salt flavor. I'm going to do a separate video all about what is nicotine salts, but for right now, what I'll tell you is that they are way less harsh. So that's why you can do a 24 or 40 milligram and not have it burn the shit out of your throat. Also, nicotine salts are absorbed much quicker and more efficiently than regular nicotine, so it's definitely a different experience. In my opinion, these pod systems are the perfect option and a great option for smokers who are trying to quit smoking and doing it by vaping. They're very, very easy systems. There's nothing to build, nothing to fuss with. They're very simple, especially the disposable pods one. You either just buy the pre-filled pod, stick it in, you're good to go, or you fill it with whatever preferred juice you like, and then you get into the more advanced ones with coil heads and cartridges, and generally speaking, those actually hit a little bit harder than the basic stick pod systems. We're going to cover all this as I go through the different types. Now, I definitely don't have every pod system on the market, but I have enough here that I'll be able to show you the differences between different options, different classes, so to say, and you'll get a general idea of what's available and what might be best for you. We're going to start off by talking about the Juul and the Van Earl. Two options in this class that are the stick kind of guys. These are some of the ones that will take pre-filled disposable pods. Some of these will have pods that can be pulled apart and refilled. The Juul is one of the most popular options here. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Juul because you're tethered to the flavors that the company provides in their pods. So you have no flexibility, you can't use your own juice. I haven't found a way to rip them open. Depending on how often you're hitting it, you can get anywhere between a half a day to a full day. Some of them are a little bit higher. These, however, are a great starting point for people who are trying to quit smoking. Portability, size, ease of use, they just make for a great option. Most of pod systems in general are charged via standard USB. Others, like the Juul, have a proprietary charging system. Again, another reason I'm not a huge fan of the Juul. There are options very similar to the Juul and the Von Earl that I prefer personally, and a good example of that is the MyJet by Wismac. This is actually one of my favorite pod systems, and in particular in this shape and style. It comes with empty pods that you fill with whatever juice that you would like. You can also pry these open to refill them, and I've even been able to re-wick these pods. That's definitely more of a difficult process, but it can be done. With these pods, you just fill them up, clip them together, and you're ready to go. Unfortunately, the MyJet has a proprietary charger, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. The battery life on this is better than most of the other stick systems, and I get really great battery life out of this. Another benefit, in my opinion, with the MyJet is the hit that I actually get. It's a little bit stronger, it's a little bit more intense, it's just more conducive for the way I like it to feel. That is completely a preference thing and different for everybody. I'll cover pricing at the end of the video, and I'll also put links in the description to where you can check these out and other options. Moving right along, we have another pen-shaped-ish device. Now this one is much different than the other ones, however, because it has a bigger battery. You get longer life out of this guy. It is a refillable pod. It is similar to the MyJet, just a different shape. Again, refillable pod. The juice capacity on this is much better than the previous devices. And like the MyJet, it has a much better, bigger hit than the previous ones. This device is called the Sky Now. Personally, one of the biggest downfalls that I find with this device is that it has too much air. I like a tighter draw, a little bit more of a dense draw, so this isn't my favorite device, but I am a fan. I find myself covering up the air holes to try to get a better hit. Moving on to one of my favorite devices, the Sauron Drop. This guy has great battery life and great juice capacity. It also has a stronger hit than any of the other ones we've talked about so far. This guy has a really nice, tight, stronger drag, and I really appreciate the capacity on the battery and the tank. It comes with these cartridges, and they are refillable. You can refill them as many times as you can before the cotton burns out. I have not found a way to pull these open and re-wick them, but the pods, the cartridges do last quite a long time. Currently, this is one of my favorites, definitely on the top of my list. I just love the hit that I get on this, and it really brings out the flavor if you have a good juice with good flavor. Oh, I love it. Stepping up to bigger, better options, well, not necessarily better, but just more intense options. We have the Penguin or the Dolphin. This is by Joytech. These come with big cartridges and they have a massive juice capacity. Penguin has 8.8, not exactly positive on the Dolphin, but I know it is large. These cartridges are very, very big, and these take coil heads. These are ceramic coils. So with these, you're going to need to prime the coil and then stick it into the cartridge, then put your whole thing together. This is one that another big plus with a device like this is that you can actually purchase direct long coil heads. So if you're graduating from the mouth to long, or just somebody who likes going back and forth, you have the great portability of the Penguin and you can still get a nice direct long hit. Really good battery life. It has a battery indicator light on it so you know where your battery's at. If you're going for size, this isn't your best option. It is larger than most on the market, but you get the extra battery life with something like this. Another is the Aspire Breeze. There are multiple devices like this. This has an internal tank and it does use replaceable coil heads. With this, you can either draw to fire or push the button to fire. We've got much better capacity on this than most of the other ones. The Breeze is a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but it's more of a process to fill and change out the coil. That center post where the tank is needs to be unscrewed to access the coil. It's more difficult to clean out. If you're changing flavors, you need to rinse out the old one, change the coil. With something like the Breeze, you're going to get a much bigger hit than the Sticks and the Sauron. So if you're looking for something more intense, more of a throat hit, this might be a good option for you. Decent juice capacity on this guy, not as much as the Penguin, but definitely more than the other options. Well, it's about the same as the Sauron actually, maybe a little bit more. Very portable, small size, comes in a lot of colors, relatively good price. I'm a big fan of this device. I have dropped these and broken the glass inside. I would have liked to see an interchangeable glass tank here because once you break that, you're screwed and have to buy a whole nother one. Moving on to a similar device as far as it having a glass tank, we have the Exceed D19. I'm a very big fan of this device and I've actually done a separate review on it, so if you'd like to check that out, I'll link it up on the top of the video. A couple great things that I like about this are interchangeable coil heads, and they offer, like the Penguin, two different types, so you can do the mouth to lung or the direct lung coil head. This has adjustable airflow, which is great, so you can really dial in how much air you want. Unlike any of the other ones that we've talked about so far, it's the only one that you can actually adjust the air on. You have a really great juice capacity because you have your glass tank atomizer similar to a sub-ohm device, and it comes apart just like a sub-ohm device. The mouthpiece unscrews to reveal your fill holes, and that's where you're going to fill up your juice. Again, USB charger, and it has an LED indicator light for the battery. The quicker it flashes, the less battery you have. 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. Same with the Breeze and with the Penguin. This one is not draw activated, it is push button only. Like the Breeze and the Penguin, this is going to be more of an intense hit. And it's really great. Being able to dial in your exact airflow really makes a big difference. You can definitely change the density of your drag. I personally feel this is one of the better options for people trying to quit smoking. You have a lot of adjustability. It's still really easy to use. You just prime your coil and pop it all together. It's not as easy as the pen systems, but you do have the same size. It's very slim, very small, very easy to carry around. Stick it in your pocket. Just make sure you turn it off before you stick it in your pocket. Same with all of these devices, except for the pens you don't have to worry about because they're draw activated and don't have a button. There are, as I said, many other options, but this video should at least give you a basic idea of what's available and the different styles and features that you can get with different devices. Some of them are very similar. Another factor to consider is what nicotine level that you are going to use in your device for the devices that will allow you to fill the device with whatever juice that you want. Higher nicotine levels are going to give you more nicotine, more of a throat hit, more of an intense kind of feeling. I'm going to cover rebuildable mouth-to-lung tanks in a separate video, so keep an eye out for that if that's what you're interested in. I love mouth-to-lung vaping, especially on systems like the D19 or even down to the MyJet. I really like them all. When I'm out in public, I don't want to be blowing massive storm systems at people in crowded places. Nobody wants to breathe in something that was just in somebody else's lungs. Not to mention, I just don't want to be an asshole. You know, blowing big clouds everywhere is really inconsiderate, in my opinion, to the people around you who don't vape and maybe don't want, you know, the vapor in their face. Along with that, when I'm out shopping or out with the kids, Again, I don't want to be blowing the big clouds, and it's just so much easier and more discreet. I don't have to worry about constantly filling a tank or dripping on an RDA. The battery life will get me through if I'm doing a really long day. If I'm going to be out all day, I can bring one of these with me and not have to worry about the battery dying. And the portability is fantastic. I just slip it into my pocket and it's not this massive 4 battery mod. You know, it's spilling, leaking. I just don't have to worry about any of that. Great way to get my nicotine fix while being courteous, considerate, and just having the ease of use. For more information about these devices and where you can get them, check the links in the description. I will also be posting links to all kinds of different devices that I recommend and where you can get them. I'll also be doing a video on nicotine salt juices. Bitch slap that like button if you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed and press that bell so you get notified when I post new stuff.